Today I am talking to Sharon Edwards from Mapus Smith and Lemon Chartered Accountants, and Sharon is just going to talk about her career journey and what it's like to work in accountancy. So Sharon, thank you for joining me today, and yeah, let's hear all about how you got started.
Oh, I'd love to. So when I was in year 10 at high school, they gave me the opportunity to do 2 weeks work experience. Maths had always been my absolute favourite subject, and at the time I was thinking that maybe maths teacher or bank manager, and a local firm of accountants had a work placement available, so I applied and did 2 weeks work experience, and I absolutely loved it. From day one I thought this is definitely for me. So I spoke to the partner in charge at the time and said, you know, what do I need to do in terms of, exams, etc., for GCSEs and A levels, and they gave me work experience every summer and every Easter. So I'd go and work for them for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, to build up that knowledge as I was still doing my GCSEs and then my A levels. They paid for me at the time to then do a year's intensive course, paid for my books to do a year's intensive course at Norwich City College. And once I'd finished that, they said, right, you have a chartered training contract. And I started there when I was 19, and absolutely loved it. You know, they then paid for my training, so I was able to work alongside at the same time as training, which for me was really important. So, you know, I didn't have the issue of any debt associated with the university, but I was actually earning money as I was training. And as I qualified, I then slowly worked my way through the ranks. So, you know, you started off as a new accounts assistant, senior, supervisor, manager. And I've been with that particular firm for 12 years. And I've got nothing but admiration for that firm. You know, they were wonderful to me. But I was kind of starting to get slightly itchy feet, having only ever worked for this firm pretty much since I was 14. And the opportunity came up for a corporate services manager at the firm I'm currently with in Kings Lynn. Corporate services was always something that I particularly enjoyed. And I applied for that in 2007 and was offered the job and moved to Kings Lynn then after 3 months' notice. By 2010, I was then admitted to the partnership here. So I was the first female partner and the youngest partner at the time. And I just feel like, you know, my career has gone from strength to strength, and I absolutely love what I do. I love dealing with different clients on a daily basis, different industries on a daily basis. I love looking after the staff, making sure that they're happy and that they're getting the development that they need. I also deal with all the trainees in the firm, which I really enjoy doing, you know, seeing their progression through the different qualifications and giving them the direction that they need and the help that they need to achieve their full potential. I think, you know, to start off with, for me, going into this industry, it was all about, I love maths. And if I love maths, therefore accountancy is going to be full of maths, and therefore, you know, I'm going to be set for life. Actually, working in accountancy is not using a calculator every day. Okay, you know, you will use the calculator, but actually you don't. You know, it's not, you don't have to be fantastic at maths to be a good accountant. You get to do so many different things every day, from business plans to cash flows to audit to tax returns to accounts prep, to sitting down, you know, with businesses and giving them advice on how they can grow, how they can develop. To then to the other side of it, sitting down as businesses start to wind down and you're thinking about selling businesses or even stopping, and you can be working in every different type of industry possible, from agriculture to health, to manufacturing, to IT. There's such a wide breadth of client that I see on a daily basis, which just makes it that much more interesting. And then obviously, as I've already said, within that, there's so many different areas that you can specialise in. So for myself, I mainly still do corporate services and audit, and charities. But we have tax specialists, we have CIS specialists, but, you know, we have so many different types of accounts work that you can do. And then within that, we have different qualifications. So I explained about my route. So I did my A-levels, and then back then you could do a year's intensive course at college and then do your chartered training. Now, an awful lot of our students start off with AAT, which is an absolutely fantastic qualification. You can do that straight after your A-levels. There's a number of different firms that offer the AAT apprenticeship or training contracts. So again, you can work while you are while you're studying. For that, usually it's about 3 years, and you can do college-based courses, or we do distance learning. So you can you have online computer courses, so you'll sit down at your desk and you can put your headphones on and listen to the courses and then do your exams. And then once you've got the AAT qualification, it's then, you know, do you want to just retain that qualification and not do anything else? It's, you know, it's still a very worthy qualification, or do you want to go on to do something else? And at that point, the two main ones really are the chartered qualification, so the Institute of Chartered Accountants, or ACCA, so that's the certified accountants. Again, you're looking at about another 2 to 3 years. There's also other ones, there's certain tax qualifications, etc., that you can do. And once you've got those qualifications, AAT and above, you can remain in practice, as I do, or you can go into industry. You know, every single business out there of any size will have some kind of finance director or in-house accountant, financial controller. And then when you look at some of the very large companies, quite often, you know, their CEOs, etc., they'll have a chartered accountancy background or a certified accountancy background. So, you know, these qualifications, you wells as your oyster. You don't have to remain just as within a firm of accountants. There's so many possibilities that you can use those qualifications for, and your earning potential can be anything from minimum wage to start off with an AAT training contract, all the way up to some very 6-7 figure numbers. It really does depend on, you know, what you do with that qualification. And also obviously where you work within the country. So I'm based in Norfolk, where salaries will differ to those compared with London. I think, you know, if accountancy is something that interests you, having a half decent understanding of maths is good. But actually, you know, what makes a good accountant is the ability to listen to your client, to actually understand, you know, what the issue is with their business or where they see their business going, and helping them to get, you know, fulfill their dreams, fulfill their fulfill where they want their business to go to. And you can help them do that. It's not just about saying you've got this tax bill to pay or giving them a history lesson. It's about being with them on that business journey. And then once you've listened to what the client's trying to say to you, it's then being able to communicate across to them in a way they'll understand how they achieve their goals. How do they get to where they want to be? You need to be organised. You know, I live my life with a spreadsheet list to make sure that nothing gets missed. So, you know, you want to ensure deadlines are met, because one of the things with tax in particular, if you don't meet deadlines, that's monetary penalties for your client, and you don't want that. You need to be, you know, a team player. And once you move up the ladder, you need to be able to help develop staff, and encourage staff and motivate staff, so, you know, they are working to their full potential. So, you know, if you've got all those skill sets and you've got those that are potentially required for a good accountant. Now, when I look at new trainees coming through the firm, so I manage the interview process and the application process, etc. So we go to local schools, local colleges, to say we've got positions available. I always say, if you're looking for an AAT contract, the best thing to do is send your CV with a covering letter around about February, March to those local firms of accountants that you think you might like to work for. If you're lucky enough to get an interview, you must absolutely ensure that you are properly prepared before you go into that interview process. So for me, the tips that I would give is, the first thing is do a Google search. There's so much information available online about a firm now that you will be able to find out You know, how many offices have they got? What industries do they specialise in? What's, you know, the staff members, the partners, any achievements that they've got recently, because there'll probably be a news feed on there. And so there's lots of information that you can gain to get an understanding of the firm that you think that you would like to work for. Make sure that you've got some questions ready, because I will always say to you, have you got questions? And it could simply be, you know, what's the lunchtime hours? What's the likely salary? But obviously, if you can come up with something else before that, you know, maybe it might be, you know, what will my role entail to start off with? You know, what admin duties will I be required to do? Who will I be working with? What opportunities are there for specialisms in the future? So a few good questions just to engage with them during the interview process. And also, obviously, quite simply making sure that, you know, you are smartly dressed for the interview, because most firms of accountants will still tend to be smart dressed for the office. Not all, but if you just make sure, you know, you're smartly dressed and just properly prepared. But the first thing for me, as I've said, is the Google and look at the website. So because you need to know information about the firm that you say you think that you might like to work for. And finally, actually, also in terms of the qualifications, if you are looking to go for an AAT training contract, make sure you know a little bit about the qualification. Again, the AAT has got a fantastic website. It'll be able to explain that. If you're going for a chartered training contract, do exactly the same thing. Just get a basic understanding of the qualification before you go for that interview process. But for me, it's such a wonderful job because it is so varied, and I can't recommend it enough. And so the opportunities that it gives to you for the future really are so wide. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Sharon. Oh, you've given some really good hints and tips for interviews there.
Sorry,
and also,
I've run on a bit.
no, it's fine. So what would you give what advice would you give your younger self? I'll put you on the spot now.
Yeah, no, you really are on the spot now. I think the only thing I did slightly regret at the time was not going to uni. Okay. Just to get that experience. Obviously, it's not held me back at all, so I'd never kind of tell anyone to do that.
I was going to say, it hasn't seemed to help you, hold you back. And also, what an achievement! The youngest and the first female partner.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, I genuinely don't know, because I feel that I've always been very bullish. Well, yeah, bullish is probably right, actually, particularly when I was younger in my approach. And I was so lucky that literally from the age of 14, I knew exactly what I wanted. And I wasn't backwards in coming forwards to make sure I got that. And I was always, you know, what do I need to do next? Where am I going? Am I doing the right thing? You know, knocking on the partner's door every 5 minutes. But because I'd known him since I was 14, he was almost like a father figure to me. So he was able to accept that and was very good with me to make sure, you know, that I was heading in the right direction. So I was just incredibly lucky.
Do you think having that work experience initially,
100%,
you know,
absolutely, and you know, we offer work experience here. We've got 3 kids, I think two year 10 and 2 year 12s coming over the summer. No, actually it'll be July, won't it? So it'll be before they finish. I would never have been an accountant if it wasn't for that 2 weeks work experience. I would have been a maths teacher or a bank manager, 100%. I'd never even thought about accountancy until someone said, well, that's numbers as well. I thought, fine, I'll have a go at it. It's absolutely key. I can't recommend it enough. I really can't.
Oh, thank you for your time, Sharon. It's been really good chatting to you.
No, it's fine.